Hi everyone, it's me, Jessica, your health fitness program manager from McLean, and I'm really excited for today's Yin Yoga class that's totally focused on relaxation. You have 5 minutes before we get started, so you have plenty of time to grab a block if you have one. If you don't have a block, I'm going to demo with the scarf I even just happen to have nearby. Truly, just taking anything and rolling it up. A towel would be better than the scarf. But maybe you don't have a towel around. It's okay. Just a little something that you can roll up to place behind your back to give yourself a little self-myofascial release. I'm all into the free personal massage. All right, so you can do whatever you want before we get started. I recommend grabbing a couple sips of water, setting up your space, maybe putting on that ambient music I am a fan of. I hope you are too. I'm gonna spray my delightful room spray. Dim your lights if you want to. We're gonna have a good time tonight. Let's celebrate. I'm stuck inside for the rest of the evening. Yay, curfew! You know what? I was gonna be inside anyway because I'd rather be safe than sorry. Okay. All right, I will be back in just a moment. We're gonna have a good time tonight. We're doing it. It's all right. Yeah, life's gonna be great, you guys. There's a party going on right here on the left. Do some yoga, feel good throughout the year. Don't look at me like that. All right, so 2 minutes until we officially get started. Here's my class playlist, I'll call it. I lost my other timer because I've been cooking a lot. I used it. I've been cooking so much for myself, y'all. Does anyone else have any New Year's resolutions or goals that they've already gotten started on? If you do, I would so love to hear about them. Sure would. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get into the first posture of the day. Remember last time when it was really dark in here? Well, welcome to this time when it's super bright. Okay. All right, so our first posture of the day is going to be a block at the upper back, and we're gonna lay down in butterfly. If you find that you need a little bit more support for your head, I have this awesome giant bun that kind of supports my head. Also, you know what? I'm gonna put a pillow back there. So feel free to use a little something else, because remember, we're doing yin. The point of our postures is to create stillness. To find some relaxation is the goal of today's practice. So hi, welcome. It's me, Jessica, your health fitness program manager. Just in case you missed that in the beginning, let's go ahead and lay down and do some yoga. All right, so we've got a block or a towel or something that's going to provide a little bit of structure towards your upper back. And you can go ahead and extend your arms out to the side. Do whatever feels good or right for that upper body. Remember to find one spot to just relax your eyes. Oh, perfect. Relax your eyes, begin to relax your mind, and start to come into your breath. If it feels good to keep your arms closer by your side. Oh yeah, we're doing butterfly, and I'm just sitting here cross-legged. All right, so just work to come into your stillness here. Welcome to today's Yin Yoga practice. Start to slow your breath down, slow your mind down, and just be here right now. If you're joining me in real time, it's a little towards the late afternoon. Probably been sitting at your desk for a while today, so you might just be feeling a little tight. Sitting at our desk really tightens those hip flexors, so this is a big stretch right here. We are working to create noticeable stretches in today's practice. So right now you're feeling the delightful pressure of this block or your prop in your upper back. Getting a nice openness of the chest and really feeling a stretch in your hips. Maybe even a little in your lower back. Remember, you have the option to walk your feet in a little bit closer, to focus more on the lower half of the body, a little bit further away to get into the low back. But we're gonna move this block down our back. So for now, try to keep the focus on the hip stretch, if that is within your wheelhouse. Working to create a noticeable stretch, so using your inhale to be aware of the sensations you're feeling. Might even be discomfort. Just working to keep that sensation in your hips. If you're feeling discomfort elsewhere, just seeing how can you relax. Can you release a little bit more into your block? Can you slow down your breath, especially that exhale? Just work to slow down your heart rate. Help to encourage your nervous system to also relax right here. Take 2 more breaths right here. And then to move into our next posture, we're going to roll to whichever side feels good for you. Gently come off of your block. And then move that block towards your lower back. So you still want your hips to be touching the ground for this next one. Again, you can have a pillow behind your head to find some relaxation for that upper body. We're going to start off with our knees bent right here. You can even open your feet a little bit wider, finding what feels good for you. Obviously, if you're working with a block today, it's going to have a little bit more structure, a little bit more pressure into your back. Make sure that you're not pressing directly onto that lower rib though. Hey, ladybird. If this feels good for you and you want to increase the stretch even more, you can go ahead and extend your feet out. It's going to provide a little bit more opening of the chest, of the abs particularly, just to the front side of the body if your legs are straight. All right, we've got just over 2 minutes right here. Remember that if your eyes are moving, your mind is moving, so finding one spot to focus and relax your eyes or keeping them closed. Come back to your breath using that inhale to find the awareness of the stretch. Just notice how you're feeling. And using your exhale to relax and release tension throughout the body. Each breath Each breath nice and slow. Use to stay focused and within the moment. As you create these deeper stretches, going for the fascia, ligaments, tissues, joints, even the bones. You might notice some twitching or trembling, which is out of your control, and that's totally normal. Those involuntary movements happen. You're still encouraged to breathe. Your chest will rise and fall. We're just working to take out the things that we might lean towards when things become uncomfortable. So trying not to fix your clothes. Trying not to fidget around. If you notice an itch, can you just breathe through it? Doing your best to use your breath to be as in this moment as possible. And each new breath is a new moment to be aware of, to just stay present. As other thoughts might come into your head, which might happen as you get a little bit more relaxed, do your best to just push them aside. You created this time for yourself right now, so enjoy it as much as you can. Take your last 2 breaths right here. And we're once more going to roll to the side. Maybe bring those legs back in if you brought the mats. It's going to make it easier. Next up, we have a supported glute bridge. So I'm going to get rid of my amazing pillow. And take my time. Take your time as well. Slowly lower yourself all the way down. Go ahead, plant your feet firmly on the floor. Draw your belly in. Use some support and lift your hips up. And this time, place your prop right at your lower back. So there's a little bit of pressure at the very lower back, and you have a little bit of space for your glutes to hang off of your block. Awesome. We're going to hang out here. Once again, just about 3 minutes. If it feels good for you, if you want more of a stretch, of an engagement and an opening of the abdominals, you can once again go ahead, extend your feet out. If you find that extending your feet out all the way feels uncomfortable or maybe applies too much pressure on the back of the knee, remember you can gently bend the knees. Maybe even opening things out just a little bit to get more into your hip flexors. Finding what feels good for you. But remember, you're just working to create a stillness. Just about 2 minutes from right here. So on this one, really working to relax those shoulders on the floor as much as possible, back of the head, even the neck, relaxed and supported by your mat. If at any point during your noticeable stretches today you find that they become painful, that's a time to take a step back. If they're just becoming more noticeable, if you're just engaging in awakening a little bit more in a way that feels okay, you can stick with it. But if at any point you really feel like you need to adjust the posture, you do you. But as long as you're doing the best you can with the body you have today, that's always enough. Just showing up on your mat is beautiful. You can lay in Savasana the whole time and just be present, and you still practice yoga. slow things down even more for your last 3 breaths right here. If you brought your legs all the way out, take your time. Carefully, slowly, one little step at a time, walk them back in. We're going to stay on our props for a second. So if you walked your feet out, you might need to readjust your upper body. Let's slowly, gently draw both knees in towards the chest. It's okay if you roll off of your prop slightly. Maybe you choose to keep that lower back grounded and just keep your knees and tabletop a little bit more towards the hips. Or maybe you want to draw them towards the chest. Just find what feels good for you. We'll spend 1 minute right here. Keep your right knee drawn in towards your chest. It's going to look like I'm doing the opposite for this one. And go ahead and either bring the sole of the left foot down towards the floor or extend your left leg out all the way. Taking just 1 minute here with a little bit of wind removing. This is a beautiful stretch into that left hip flexor as well. Great. Draw that knee back, up and in. Go ahead, plant your right foot to the floor. We're going to roll over onto our left side. Still staying on the block. I want you to kick your right leg forward. Right. Oh my gosh. Really roll over. Awesome. Now go ahead, kick that right leg forward. If you don't have a block, if there's a little bit too much pressure on your hip, you can always come down off of your block and come into cat tail pulling, just bending that bottom leg down. If you're on the block, that's probably not going to feel so good. So you're just going to keep, no timer, that bottom leg extended. Beautiful. We're going to spend 2 honest minutes right here. So really check in with your body. Notice if you're creating any extra tension in this right upper glute. Finding some support for your head, for your upper body by relaxing on your lower arm, and feel free to use your right arm for as much support as you find that you need. Keep doing that total body scan. You know the places that you tend to bring tension back. Maybe you squeeze your face. Maybe you draw your shoulders to your ears. Maybe you squeeze your glutes. Maybe do all those. Whatever it is that you tend to turn to internally when things are tense and you're trying not to show it, check in with those spots right now and come back to your breath. Send your breath in, create some space. Last 2 breaths right here. Beautiful. If you extended your lower arm out, bring it back in. We're going to gently roll off of the block for a sec. Yay! And then, I feel bad. We're going to get back on the block. We're going to get back on the block. So first, you're just going to lower yourself down. You're going to lift your hips up to come into that supported glute bridge once again. We're going to draw both knees in towards our chest. We're going to take 1 minute with just the left leg drawn in. So go ahead, extend that right leg out. First, just taking 1 minute, getting this big stretch in the hip flexor. Shoulders are still supported down on the floor. The block is not honoring you. If you were just like, Jessica, I'm not getting back on that block, that's fine. You can totally do the same thing down on the floor. Really work to melt that upper body into the mat. And then use that exhale, draw your other leg in. We're going to release our feet to the floor so we can roll over big time. Remember, we're rolling over big time. Turning that shoulder. Still finding some support with the block, with your lower arm under your head. Extend your top leg forward and extend your lower leg either down if you're on the block, or if it feels good. It doesn't feel good for me. It doesn't feel good. You can bend that lower leg in for a little bit of cat's tail. Just work to release, to breathe into this big, deep stretch happening on the outside of the left hip flexor. See if you can slow your breath down even more. Create stillness and space between your breaths. Last 2 breaths right here. Beautiful. Make sure you bring your left hand down to the floor for a little support. You can fold that right hand in, bring your left leg in. Let's roll off of our props. Yay! We're totally off the block. And we're going to press ourselves up into tabletop. And just take a delightful minute right here and some cat-cow. You start that cat-cow. I'm going to tuck my tank top into my yoga pants. Because that's what the cool kids do, Fred. They tuck their shirts in. For a little modesty. Okay, here we are. All right, so hands, palms underneath the shoulders. Make sure that you continue to apply some pressure into those hands, palms. Your arms are locked in both directions, both for when you're exhaling or inhaling, whatever. I like to really move on the exhale, but can you take an inhale on both sides? Exhale to find that movement. Find that big breath on the opposite side. Deep inhale. Maybe even pausing for a moment with your lungs full, really applying pressure through your hands, palms, and knees, and then arms still straight. Pulling that chest forward towards your triceps. Oh my gosh, just a couple more right here. Beautiful. Take your time. We're going to come down onto our bellies to come into Sphinx pose. So go ahead, start to walk those legs out behind you. Replace your elbows with those hands, palms. You can separate your legs as much as you want. Okay, and then start to apply some pressure into your elbows while also applying a little bit of pressure of that belly button down towards the floor, and that's how you're going to get that stretch in your lower back. Can you relax your glutes though? So you're not squeezing your glutes to bring your belly down towards the floor. You're just relaxing that belly one vertebrae at a time and still working to keep your shoulders stacked on top of your elbows. You can relax your head down. Just find a place that feels good for you. We're going to stay here for 2 minutes. 2 amazing minutes. Keep finding that noticeable, gentle pressure with your elbows towards the floor. And make sure that belly button is still on the mat. If you need to, if things are feeling really uncomfortable, you can always walk your arms out a little bit wider. That's going to help you get your belly towards the floor. And then if it's uncomfortable on your head, you can even place a prop there. All right, so here we are. We got 1 more minute in whatever version of Sphinx that you find yourself in right now. Use your exhale to slowly, gently change. If you have a prop under your head, move it out of the way, replace it with your hands. You can go ahead, bend your knees, and take a moment. Just windshield wipe those legs, right and left, Relieve any tension if it built up in that lower back. Feels good on the glutes if they were feeling tight too. We're going to keep stimulating that upper body for a little bit, coming into a nice big shoulder stretch. You're going to need to move over gently. All right, go ahead, extend your arms out to the side. We're going to roll over onto the right side first. So keeping your right hand extended, go ahead, bring your left hand in close by your chest. Hands, palms in line with your shoulder. You just roll over onto the left side. Once again, you can bend those knees to find a little bit more support, to be a little bit more comfortable here. The more that you roll over, the more you're going to feel the stretch in your right shoulder. So you can find a little bit more of a roll if you open up those legs. You can even open your chest while opening your shoulders by inhaling that left arm up towards the ceiling. Turn your palm to the back of the room. Bring the back of your fingertips to your glutes and trace them up your back to help you roll that shoulder down and back. Find that stillness with your eyes as well. So either eyes closed or gaze on one spot. Eyes closed makes it a lot easier. Work to slow down your breath in this deep stretch. Last two breaths right here. If you brought that arm behind you, use your inhale to stretch that left arm up towards the ceiling. Really stretch it up. Feels good. And then exhale it back down to the floor underneath of your chest. Bring those legs back together if you clamshelled your legs. And extend them down. Gently roll over. Switch those arms. So left arm out, right arm in. Take your time. Gently roll over onto the left side of the body. Remember, both sides of the body are not the same. One side might be a little bit tighter than the other. You can bring those legs together for support. You are still working to find a noticeable stretch, and you're working to find that stretch in the shoulder towards the back of the shoulder big time. So really make sure that you are applying a little bit of pressure and rolling over, not just hanging out on the floor. If you want to bring that chest in as well, inhale your right arm up towards the ceiling. Turn your hand palm away from your body. Bring the back of your fingers to your glutes and then trace up your back. Make sure that tracing up your back didn't bring your shoulders towards your ears and crunch your chest, so staying open. So only tracing up your back as much as you can. Maybe your fingers stay all the way down here at your glutes, or relax down towards your other hip. Finding what feels right for you today. Remember, you have the option to open and clamshell those legs to find a little bit deeper of a stretch. And just start to listen to your body. Be so quiet here for this next minute. Notice if you can feel your heart beating, any tingling, and where, besides just in your heart. Last two breaths. If you brought your hand behind you, use your inhale to stretch it all the way up towards the ceiling. Find a little active stretch, a little lift, and then exhale, bring it back down in line with your chest. Bring those legs back together and slowly, gently roll back over onto your belly. We're going to go ahead and draw those arms up just for a sec. One more time, coming into Sphinx. Go ahead, allow your chin to fall heavy down towards your chest,
And then just gently do a couple little neck stretches. So right ear to right shoulder, left ear to left shoulder, chin down to chest. Couple more times each side, right ear to right shoulder. Left ear to left shoulder. Feeling these all the way down to my tailbone while applying a little pressure of the elbows into the floor. Awesome. We're going to come on down all the way onto our bellies once more and make our arms like a goalpost. You can start with whichever side you would like to. I'm going to start with what looks like my left side, just so you can see what's happening here. Take your time. You can wiggle it up. You're slowly going to draw your left leg up towards that knee. You can relax your head on the floor if you need to bring your right hand in for a little bit of support. You can always just keep your chin down on the floor also to find a little opening of your chest, or maybe even turn your left ear towards the mat to get a little stretch in your neck right here. A little like frog spine twist happening right now. Melt your upper body into the mat as much as possible. Make sure you're not creating tension in your glutes, so actively work to release your glutes, to relax that lower body into the floor. Take the tension out of your toes. Last 2 breaths right here. Use your exhale, take your time, turn your head forward. Your nose can be down grazing your mat, and we're going to bring that left leg back in. Take a moment with your 2 legs in line side by side just to realign your upper body, your spine, and then go ahead and start to wiggle or walk that right leg up. Just bringing your elbows close towards the knee as feels good for you. So maybe it came up nice and high in a nice 90-degree angle, and maybe you barely brought your leg up at all. Start from the top of your head. Relax your head on the mat. Allow your body to be heavy and weighted, fully supported by the floor below you. Once you feel that relaxing melt in your upper body, taking the tension out of your eyes and eyebrows, your shoulders and shoulder blades, your biceps. Begin to focus more on relaxing your belly into the mat. Taking the tension out of your glutes. Relaxing your knees and your ankles. couple more breaths right here. Use your exhale to bring your head forward once more. To wiggle that right leg back to meet with the left. Slowly, gently take your time. We're going to roll over onto our backs and we're going to come back into butterfly. Well, first we're going to sit ourselves up. I lied a little bit. So you can either, on your way to rolling over, press yourself up or roll yourself up like a ball. So just a little bit more active in this butterfly. So go ahead and bring the soles of your feet together. You can always walk your glutes out just a little bit, especially if you're having any sort of lower back issues. Finding this forward hinge from your hips and then being awesome and retucking your tank top into your yoga pants. Cool. If you find that you're feeling really tight, remember you can use a prop right here to be supported in your stretch, and then you can still find a little bit of a forward hinge. So we're finding a forward hinge, so make sure that at first you come forward with a nice flat back. If you're feeling really open, if your hip flexors are open, and you can bring yourself down even further. Obviously, as you get a little closer towards the floor, you find a rounding, but this flat back is going to feel so much better to begin with, even if you have your hands on the floor. So especially if you have any lower back problems, I want you to stay lifted and supported. Uh-oh, I'm fidgeting. All right, y'all, we've got 2 minutes right here in this butterfly. Remember, you're focusing on the stretch that you're creating in your hip flexors, in your glutes. You might even feel it a little in that lower back. If it's really uncomfortable on your lower back and you have not stayed still yet, I want you to just walk those feet out a little bit further. And just stay lifted right here. We've got 1 minute left. If you folded forward, use your exhale to gently lift yourself up. Go ahead, extend those legs out in front of you. Take a moment. If you need to, you can bring your hands behind you for a little support. Windshield wipe your feet. Bob your knees. Maybe give yourself a nice little supported backward bend. A little counter stretch from a mini forward fold. Because we got another forward fold coming up. All right, so next up we have caterpillar, which is going to be literally folding forward. The best way to get into caterpillar from right here is to take your time and move your hips back, walk your glute back 5, 6, 7, however many times that it takes for you to do it. You can use your hands and actively walk yourself back. You can even just actively walk one butt cheek back at a time. We're just being real, y'all.
And if you still feel like, I think I could get things back even more, you can even reach your hands back. And notice how much that already brought me into this awesome forward fold. And depending on how tight your hamstrings are today, maybe they're already screaming at you, you can still stay forward folded and bend your knees just a little bit to relieve some of the pressure on the back of your hamstrings and to keep the pressure off of your lower back. If you don't have any discomfort there, keep those legs straight, but we're being a little passive, so you can allow your toes to fall forward. And then you can come forward. Keep this forward hinge as much as possible. Feel free to grab a prop if you want to. Find some stillness. This will be our last active passive posture of the day. Okay, take your time, slowly, gently lift yourself up. You might want to keep a prop nearby if you would like to be in a supported Savasana. Go ahead, take your time, slowly lower yourself back. Feel free to open your legs as wide as you want. Feel free to open your arms as wide as you want. If you're still feeling any discomfort in that lower back, you can tent your knees or place a block under your knees the same way we place blocks under our backs, just to be a little more supported. I wish we had the time to do some spine twists together, but we do not. That's just a gentle hint for you to strongly consider getting some spine twists on. Maybe before you stand up off of your mat. I'll just gently remind you of that in a minute or so. So remember that Savasana is also a posture, and you want to bring to it the same stillness and focus that you've brought to everything else today. The goal of this posture, much like our practice today, is just total body relaxation, corpse pose. So truly start your scan from the very top of your head. Think about even relaxing your hair. Relaxing your ears. What would relaxing your belly button mean to you? It's normal for your fingers to gently curl towards your hands' palms. Notice if you can feel any of your awesome energy just swirling in that little curl of your hands. I encourage you to stay here in the Savasana for as long as you possibly can. If you'd like to close up class together, take your time, move with intention, and we'll come to a seated position. After which, perhaps, you'll do a spine twist. Okay, let's go ahead. Bring our hands, palms to the center of our chest. Tuck your chin to your chest. Take a moment. Let's even take a little stretch of your hands. So go ahead and give yourself some nice little lotus hands. So your thumbs and your pinky fingers together and the rest of your hands have separated. And just think about filling your cup. New year. So glad that you came to our first Yin Yoga class of the year together. Still feeling that awesome energy swirling through your hands, palms. Think of yourself as having filled your cup today with this yoga. Go ahead, bring your hands back to prayer. Bring your thumbs up to your third eye, your drishti. And bring your face and elbows up towards the ceiling. If you have any questions or concerns about today's practice, please reach out. In the meantime, think good thoughts, speak good words, eat good foods, do good deeds, nourish yourself from the inside out, and know that the light within me sees and honors the light within you. Namaste. Maybe stretch up and go into a little spine twist.